Okay, so we are going to look at what is involved in solving a 2x2 Rubik's Cube. So let's first look at the typical moves you will use to solve the Rubik's Cube. And here's a little visual diagram that might help describe the moves. So we have 6 different moves that are typically used. We will have a clockwise rotation on the top, a counterclockwise rotation on the top, a downward flip on the right side, an upward flip on the right side, a downward flip on the left side, and an upward flip on the left side. And there are many different ways that the cube can start being oriented. So it's more ideal to describe a permutation of these using a permutation of the moves that we just described, and we'll label them as 1 through 6 for a more conventional way to write them, because there's many different in between, so to speak, ways that you may have to arrange pieces to set them up so you can do these algorithms of moves. So it's just more ideal to focus on the algorithms to describe it. So there's 3 steps involved in solving a cube. We have to solve the top side, which is the white faces. Then we need to arrange the bottom so one yellow piece is solved, and only one yellow piece needs to be solved, because otherwise we can't do what we're going to do for the last step, step 3, which is solving the bottom side, which is the yellow faces. So let's look at the steps in a little more detail. For the first step, we'll choose a white starting piece and we'll place the matching piece in an adjacent corner to it on the top. And this is kind of a little diagram showing you what exactly this means. We'll just pick our starting piece, and then our matching piece will be above it in an opposite corner, an opposite adjacent corner. So we'll do the following permutation to solve: 4, 1, 3, 2, which is we're going to flip the right side up, and then we'll do a clockwise rotation, and then we'll do a downward flip on the right side, and then do a counterclockwise rotation. And it will need to be cycled n times, where n represents a natural number. So, any number between, 1 to infinity, so on and so forth. And we'll need to repeat for all the remaining white pieces. And then we need to look at the bottom, and we need to choose a piece to start and do the following permutation: 1, 4, 2, 6, 1, 3, 2, 5, which is going to be a clockwise rotation on the top, and then an upward flip on the right side, then a counterclockwise rotation, and an upward flip on the left side. And then we'll do a clockwise rotation on the top, and then a downward flip on the right side, and then a counterclockwise rotation and a downward flip on the left side. So after we do that permutation, if a yellow piece is solved facing up, we need to move it to its matching corner and follow step 3. But if not, we need to repeat the step until we have only one yellow piece solved. So once you figure out step 2 and step 3, if you have the solved yellow piece and all the other sides around it are in the correct spaces, a single permutation of which is the same permutation for step 2 will solve the cube. And if it doesn't, we can repeat the permutation twice, when that will reset our orientation, and then we'll just go back to step 2 and try it again. All right, let's see if we can apply our steps to solve this Rubik's Cube. So let's pick a white piece to start with. Let's pick this one right here. So it looks like it has a blue edge and an orange edge. And you might notice there's a white piece here lined up with it, but this is not the correct piece because these faces do not have the same color. So let's see if we can find the matching white piece that has a blue edge on it. Looks like it's right here. So let's see if we can orient it the way it needs to be solved. There we go. So here's our starting piece, here's our matching piece, just like in the diagram. So let's apply our first permutation to try to solve this. Oops. Here we go. We go like this. There we go. And then after doing a combination of those, these pieces are now lined up. Now let's find the white piece that has the red edge on it. Looks like it's right here. So let's move it here. Here's our starting piece, our matching piece, and let's do our permutation again. Keep doing it until it's solved. And there we go. this piece is solved, and looks like coincidentally the last piece we needed to get the white faces solved happened to solve itself when we solved this one. That's not always going to happen, but what you would have to do is you just have to find the matching piece, do the orientation, and do the permutation again if that doesn't work out for you. So now we have the white side solved, or the top side of the cube, as a lot of people call it. So now let's solve the bottom side of the cube. So for the bottom side of the cube, we need to have all yellow sides facing up, and of course all the colors have to line up on the sides. So for the steps that we're going to take, because there are different ways to solve it, but for the steps that we're focusing on in this video, we need to have only one yellow side facing up that's already solved. It looks like we have two right here. So we need to do step 2. Let's do a permutation, just pick a corner right here, and then do the second permutation and see what kind of setup we get. Okay, we don't have any corners set up here, but let's do a second one on this corner and see what we get. Okay, so it looks like we have one corner facing up right here. It's like it is the orange and green, so it goes right here where it matches. So there's a color combination that these need to be in for this next step to work. I haven't memorized them, but I can put up pictures for you to see what they are. So I'm just going to do the permutation, see if it solves it, and if it doesn't, we'll just reset the bottom side and go back to step 2 and try to get another setup. Now, you may have to do this permutation twice, because I know on the third step I said a single permutation, but sometimes you may have to do it twice, but it's usually once or twice that you have to do it. So, all right, let's try the permutation out and see what we get. Well, it looks like we only had to do it once, and that solved the entire cube. Okay, so here's a summary of the permutations that we took to solve the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. So for the first step, we had the 4 moves that we did, and we did it m number of times to get all the white faces solved. And then for the second step, we did the longer permutation that contained 8 moves, and we did that n number of times to get a setup where we had one yellow face solved. And then for the third step, we did the same permutation. However, for our cube, we only had to do it once, but sometimes you may have to do it twice. It depends on the steps you took to orient your yellow face on your yellow corner on the bottom. So, and of course we had a lot of in-between moves because we had to move things, especially on the white faces, to get them to line up, but we're not going to really describe them because each cube setup is different for the steps you'll have to take to get those setups. So the in-between moves are not accounted for in this. And another way to understand these moves is to describe it using the composition of the algorithms. So we can let A be our first permutation, B be our second one, and C be our third one. Then if we do C, B, A, well, that's C composed with B composed with A, and then we have our 3 cycles right there. Because if you remember, when you do a composition of cycles, you go from right to left. So we would do our first cycle first, and then whatever we get from that, we will put that into B for our second cycle, and then we'll go into C for our third one. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and bonus lecture for Abstract Modern Algebra, Section 4.